The Blade itself. Hello. Welcome to my spoiler-free review of The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie, book 1 of the First Law trilogy. I did come up with meanings for a 5-star rating system for me personally. I just kind of came up with my own. I'll include the details of the 5-star rating system in the description to this video as well, or any future reviews I do. So 5 stars, I just called it I'll Never Forget It. It'll be a book always to remember. And a 5-star book for me is usually like it impacted me emotionally pretty much on all levels. I enjoyed everything about the book. There was nothing I really disliked enough to take away any stars. So 4 stars is just a tone down, never forget it. Just means I liked it a lot. I liked it a lot. It just, maybe I will forget about it in the future. It's not one that really gripped me emotionally, or it's not one that really pulled on any heartstrings or make me think about things or care about the characters. There was something about it that I enjoyed the read, but it is forgettable. But I liked it a lot. So 3 stars I call no regrets. For me, it just means there was enough about it that I did not like that makes me feel like I'm lying if I said I liked it a lot. For 3 stars, it doesn't mean I didn't like it. It just means there were enough that I did not like about it to give it 3 stars. Kind of meh, you know, it's your meh, it's, you know, this book is mid, or it's okay. I would still chalk it up as it's worth a read too as well. So I might call it that, you know, it's more like 3 stars, it's worth a read. You know, it doesn't mean I'm pretty neutral on it though. And 2 stars is powered through. So it means I powered through the book to finish it, essentially. I could have set it down at any moment, but I was able to power through it. That's what I call a 2 star. And 1 star being DNF, did not finish, which I don't think there's any book I started reading in my life that I did not finish, you know, due to it being that bad. So we'll see if I ever get one. I don't know. Okay, so getting into the review of The Blade itself, we'll start with what I liked. First thing I'll say is the way it's written in multi-POV, multiple points of view. Each chapter is a different point of view. So in book 1, there's, I believe, 3 main characters you follow, but there are more than 3 characters you get to see viewpoints of throughout the book. There are the side characters as well. What makes this so amazing as a multi-POV book is you get, you know, when they meet up with each other, it's very fun to see. You'll see one character knows things that other characters don't, even about, you know, about each other, about the plot, about what's going on, whatever it is. It's so much fun to experience that. These characters are written so in depth, and all of them are pretty interesting to me. I mean, of course, I have my favorites and my least favorites, as I believe everyone does or will, but amazingly done. I mean, for a multi-POV book, and this being the first one I've experienced like that, I really enjoyed it. And the fact that time moves through these POVs as well. There's one chapter where each breaking section in that same chapter was a different POV from each character in the same event that's happening, and time was progressing through them as well. So it was just, I just found that fascinating. I like how it almost feels like there's not one single main character, not one like protagonist. Each character has their own entire story going on through their viewpoint, and as well as their own backstory and where they're from. The characters themselves I really loved as well. The fact that the book made me go from not trusting or not liking a character to loving the character by the end, really enjoying that character. Even the characters that I liked from the beginning and just wanted to know more about their journey and what's going on, and seeing the world being built through their eyes. The characters themselves, they're built so in depth and so well. And you can consider this a character-driven book for sure. And I've even heard some people say it's slow-paced, but I would say it's kind of in between. Another thing I really like about this book is there's magic, there's action, there's humor, it has a little bit of everything. There's even a romance going on. All those main things that this book had to offer was very enjoyable. I also love that it keeps its promise from start to finish. I mean, just from the title, from the blurb, from anything you read about like what this book is going to give you, you are going to get it. And in my opinion, you'll get more, because it's more than just this, you know, it's labeled as grim, dark, action and this book that I think that you would expect a lot of grimy and violence, fantasy setting, of course, and it is that, but I think that that is the only thing that really makes it grimdark is the violence. But what's crazy about it is it's violent but humorous. It has humor sprinkled into the violence and into that grimdark, which is like this little beam of light that's shining through it as well, which I think to be able to do that was really enjoyable too. I mean, I'm reading about gory things happening, right? Medieval fight scene or action scene, whatever, but it's like their reactions and the setup for the scene and all this that's going down, it has this funny element to it that it just really lifts that up out of that grim darkness, in my opinion. The genre and the tone definitely keep its promise as well, and I trust Joe Abercrombie 100% with the payoff that this book is going to deliver, as well as the entire trilogy. So when it comes to the plot, there's definitely a lot of mystery, and you can tell the seeds that are being sprinkled throughout the book, which make it very engaging and just keep the questions in my mind, keep my eyes peeled and paying attention for the setup this book is giving you. I believe that magic is definitely tied to the plot, which is a big plus to me as well. The magic system seems to be tied to the plot somehow. I don't want to say too much about that, but the politics, the betrayal, the conspiracies that are involved in this book as well, like a part of the world building and one of the main characters' kind of arc that he goes through, very intriguing too. It makes me think of Game of Thrones in that aspect, the way that's kind of going on. I mean, you got tension and buildup of conflicts going on in all directions from what seems to be the center of this world. It keeps me hooked. Also felt like there were no chapters that really didn't belong in the book. Every chapter felt essential and provided good information, so that's something I liked about it as well. I never felt like this was just filler chapter, more words, or anything like that. I'll be honest, I had to really think to see if there was like an overall theme or message to this book. I do think there is. It's just on the surface level, you know, sometimes you got to look a little deeper at maybe what could be the message of a book or a story, or maybe it's just personal to you. For me, when it comes to this book, as far as like moral characters or morally gray characters, I think I think of the saying that there is no good or bad, there just is, you know? There's no good news or bad news, it's just news. That being an overall theme, as well as how far are you willing to go? What are you willing to give to accomplish your goals or to end up in the destination you're trying to go to? I feel like that seems to be an overarching theme, at least to me, when it comes to all the characters in the book. So when it comes to my mixes or what I dislike or just felt met on in this book, I guess I would start with the world building. Not that it was bad by any means. I actually really felt immersed in the world. I loved how the world was built and the ways of going about it. For me, what felt kind of meh or a mix on it is it felt pretty generic in a way, but I think that was intentional. I'm pretty sure it's meant to relate to our world today, but just like, you know, the north being the north and south being the south, and you know, and then the middle ends or where the Union is located, it just kind of felt like, oh, like we're in the middle and everything outside of us is where all the conflicts are. And the north, I don't know how to explain it. That was the one thing that I guess if I could complain about the world building, that's what it would be. But other than that, I actually enjoy the world building of this book as well. Another meh feeling is, I mean, this was definitely a setup book, right? Which it's supposed to be. And I think the setup was done very well. But with that being said, it can feel slow at times, especially in the first half of the book. But I think you have to understand and appreciate that this is all set up. But I guess how it's done or how it's executed plays a part in it feeling mixed for me, of course. But I mean, I don't think it was done bad. I think it comes back to the promise. If you wind up expecting more action, you know, more action after action after action, then you may be disappointed. For me, I didn't mind it. I don't mind that slow-paced bit. In fact, I felt like this book is not slow-paced at all. I can see how others may feel like it's slow-paced compared to other action books, I guess. I will say that they probably could have added a bit more lore to the setup of things. That was one thing I felt was missing. There's obviously a rich history and stuff going on in this world, and that probably could have been more explored or explained in a fun way. I don't know, but that's another mix. And the last mix or meh feeling for me is that, I mean, it doesn't feel like this book was too deep. I don't think it's trying to be. Obviously, it's not like you don't read this because of anything philosophical or any deep meaning you're gonna get out of it. It just made it difficult for me to find like the overall theme or deep meaning of this book. But I don't even know if there was supposed to be one. Usually there is, right? Usually I think an author writes a book, or a writer would write with an overall theme or message in mind. I definitely do, so I look for it in the books I'm reading as well. Here, it was difficult for me to try to find it. But that's okay. I mean, it's like I said, it's a mix. If you notice, I don't have any dislikes. These are all mixes and mehs, and even those were hard to come up with, to be honest. They did exist as I read through this book. I also want to mention what I learned from this book as a writer is definitely the third-person limited multi-POV. The way Abercrombie wrote it is just mastery, and how the tone of that third-person narration through the points of view of these characters matched the tone of the character as well. That was, it was just great. I really enjoyed it as well as a reader, and as a writer, I think I definitely can learn from that. Would I recommend this book? Absolutely. So again, I mean, I can sit here and say, like, if you like grimdark, you know, go read this book, but like I said before, I think the only thing that makes it grimdark at all is the violence in it, as well as the pessimistic vibe to the world in this book. So compared to, like, you know, the show of Game of Thrones or anything that I would consider grimdark that I've seen, this is more on the lighter side in my opinion. So of course, if you like the Game of Thrones, if you like The Last Kingdom, those are really the main two things I can think of that if you like those vibes and you like those shows, you would probably love reading this book. Also, if you love fantasy, if you love grit and action, character-driven stories, and you don't mind rated R books for language and violence, I would recommend this book 100%. So needless to say, I love this book. I will remember this book forever, the experience it gave me. It was just really good, and I'm already halfway through book 2. Like, it's just, I really enjoyed reading through this and getting to know these characters. Man, it was a great ride, and I think it was done very well. 5 stars for me, no question. It's crazy because it threw off my reading plans. I was gonna only read like 10 books this year, but I'm like, nope, we're gonna make that 12 because we're gonna read the entire trilogy. So I'm trying to get through that by the end of this month. We'll see if we can make that happen, but that way I can like continue on through the plans. Also, I believe he wrote all 3 books to be one overarching story, and they just kind of edited it through editing and stuff, you know, they turned it into a trilogy. So it reads that way. It's so perfect going from this book into book 2. It's literally like picking up where I left off before. So it's been a great experience. So that ends my spoiler-free review of The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. Definitely check it out. I appreciate you watching this as always. I hope you enjoyed it, and I wish you the best. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Book 1 of the First Law Trilogy. I'll also include the 5 fuck. I already said too much. The North being the North and the North. The North. I'll probably just edit all that out that I just said. Fuck it. I feel like this sucks. You read this because you want a solid fantasy, grimy, violent story with character-driven, in-depth fuck. The fact that there's humor beats and almost, you know, everything you're reading, It just kind of gives it that small beam of light that's shining on that darkness that, wow, that was cringy. And it just gives it that, just don't.